Yo, yo, yo. What's good? What's good? It's STORMYBMAN, and I am live and on the move. Shout out to the brother, Junior the Truth. Coming to you guys this morning. I appreciate being here, being able to be up and continue to talk about my beloved sport of boxing. Let me tell you guys something. We are coming out of a historical weekend of boxing where we had a full menu for the sport throughout the weight classes and divisions, and culminating with a dual or a double bill on Sunday, Easter Sunday. Man, you couldn't ask for more. If you were out here and you had an opportunity to take that in, your plate was full. I mean, it was like a buffet. You know what I'm saying? And I'm so appreciative of the fact that we can get boxing like we're getting it right now, because I have been yearning for boxing in this way for a very, very long time. And I am sad to say that my brother, Curtis Anderson, aka Kurt Sugar, is not around to experience this, because Kurt was one who loved boxing like I do, and so does the brother Scrapbook Boxing. And we trio, as the three wise men of boxing, would love to take this type of experience in and just talk about it and big the sport up and show gratification to all of the, fighters and those who have helped put these cards together. So this morning's stream and live is gonna just be a brief acknowledgement of what we had. But I want to say good morning to everybody. I see you guys are starting to file into the building. The brother Stephen L. the Mac, one of the earliest early birds, joined by Dale Riv out there. Yeah, you guys are up before I am, and the only reason I am is because I'm on the move, on my way to the grind, But I just wanted to put a feeler out there that this was such a great weekend of boxing. Please don't let nobody try to tell you otherwise, that the sport is dying. It's not dying. There may be people whose appetite for what was robust that's dying. The sentiment of holding people accountable, that's dying. The people who have ambition and drive, who want to be the best that they can be, that may be dying on an overall scale, but not the game, the sport itself. So with that, you have to take acknowledgement of what is, man. And let me tell you, we had something great. And I covered most of it. I can honestly say what I didn't cover. There were two cards Saturday that I didn't cover. One was because it was such a, I want to say, it wasn't high profile, so I didn't cover that. And then there was the Tim Tszyu Amazon Prime matchup on Saturday, which was actually Easter Sunday in Australia, where the card was held. I didn't talk about that one, but guess what? Stormy got a video coming up, and that'll be tomorrow morning, the premiere, where I speak about Tim Tszyu's efforts. But you see, it's like, for real content creators that want to talk about the sport, there's always something to talk about, right? Yeah. And, starting on Friday, we had that card from the UK. I've talked ad nauseum about that young man, Pat Brown, the cruiserweight, 26-year-old fighter, 6'3", cruiserweight, that is going to be the Paul Bunyan of the cruiserweight division. And you guys going to keep your eye out for him, because they're going to market him once they realized how good he is, Ed Hearn kind of like, he don't know what he's doing, but that's always been the case, hadn't it, with Mr. Hearn. PGH Big Dog, what's good with you, bro? Yeah. So, hey, with everything that we've been dealing with, man, let me tell you something. Boxing is a great outlet, huh? Then, of course, on Saturday, we had Lauren Price, you know, and her card where she was taking on Aquino, and that turned out to be another victory for Price, who is the it's Price. I think she's undisputed at lightweight or welterweight in her, no, super welterweight. I don't know, guys. I don't have all my notes and stuff in front of me right now, but Price out of the UK is another outstanding fighter doing her thing. And then we had, of course, on Saturday night, the Bronze Bomber returned at the O2 Arena against Derek Ward Chisora in a battle of friends, taking on one another in both of their 50th fight, where it was announced as the card name 100 for 50 bouts between the two of them. 100, yeah. So that was awesome. You know what I'm saying? And yesterday we had the outstanding MVP W1, which is MVP Promotions women's fighting card number 1, featuring the ladies, and that was an outstanding card. I got a video coming on my premiere today where I'm talking about the co-main event of that, because the main event was Caroline Dubois taking on Terry Harper in a unification of the WBC and WBO lightweight titles. Let me tell you guys about that fight between Ellie Scottney and Mayela Flores, which was the co-main event. These ladies are super bantamweights, and boy, did they fight a battle of attrition. Once skill had opened the bout, heart, desire, and will carried them through the rest of the way, and it was awesome. And make sure you check out my premiere on that this morning, because I give a full salute to those two ladies. That could have easily been the main event, and in fact, in a lot of ways, stole the show of the main event. Ellie Scottney is a great little fighter coming out of the UK. She's 28 years old, a God-fearing woman who carries the scripture Esther 4:14, I believe, on her attire. She is a very good fighter. I like her. She's now 12-0, I believe, with no KOs, but she can box. Imagine Sky Nicholson with more aggression and more incentive to best the opponent by stripping them. You know, that's Ellie. And she's in the gym with Shane McGuigan as the presider over that gym where she is, and there's other fighters in that gym. Also CBS, Chris Billum-Smith is fighting out of her gym. Lawrence Okoli was once in that gym. But let me tell you something, man. Shane McGuigan has his limitations as a coach. It would behoove him to come over to the U.S. and kind of collaborate and work with some U.S. coaches, because I'm going to tell you something. If he were to gain a little bit more of that Western philosophy when it comes to boxing, he could spend 6 months to a year of just back and forth coming over and work certain camps with someone to pick up some things. But he's doing well now, but there are limitations to what he's teaching, and I've seen it, and I've talked about it before, because Daniel Dubois once worked with McGuigan, and there are limitations that the man has. But that is not to take away from anything that he has been successful with, because he has been a great representation in the sport of boxing, even more so than this Ben Davison, who they seem to be blowing smoke up his rear. And I really don't care for Ben Davison. I think he's been a part of some corrupt situations and circumstances in boxing, and he's continuing to benefit off of something. He must be in that new little club. It's not new, it's actually very old, huh? That special club where they, meet in secret and all of that kind of stuff. Somebody up there likes the guy, but I can tell you that I don't like what he's doing. And yeah, that's all I'll say about that this morning. But anyway, so that was a great card with the ladies. Chantel Cameron won her world title again at 154, super welterweight. It was a title of, I believe, the WBO, which was vacated by Michaela Mayer, who still has unified titles, but Mayer said that she's going to opt to face someone else coming up in the near future. It's going to be mentioned very soon who Michaela's going to fight. But she said there's always a great chance for her to come back and face Chantel Cameron, because they had talked about facing one another. In fact, that might be the next fight. I'm sorry, because Michaela just signed with MVPW. So, and they did do a face-off in the ring. I almost forgot about that part. So forgive me, Stormy, age showing a little bit. I'm slipping. I done slipped. Yeah. Shout out to Denzel Washington and Malcolm X when he was talking to West Indian Archie. He said, "You slipping, man. You done slipped." Man, that was a pretty damn good movie and performance by Denzel Washington as Malcolm X. Yeah. But man, listen, we're getting some great stuff in boxing, man. Great. You know what I mean? It's like I had so much boxing this weekend. When I finally laid down to go to bed, man, there was one more thing that popped up on my feed, and I captured it because I'm going to put that on my channel. When Deontay Wilder was leaving the ring, he walked past AJ in the audience, right? And he's like, he looked at AJ and was like, "Yo, let's get it. And AJ just kind of looked at him with that look. Drew Titan talked about it last night on the Strong House. But man, AJ is I remember when BFTB referred to him as Pup years ago. Now, if y'all don't know what that Pup term means, let me give you a little refresher. You ever seen them little puppies, and they could be at the damn kennel or the place where the Anti-Cruelty Society or somebody done donated a dog or something because they couldn't take care of it. And the little puppy be sitting in the cage, he be shivering and shit. Little motherfucker scared of his shadow, man. He's like, that's what BFTV called AJ Pup years ago. And that's AJ for real, man. This sucker don't want to face nobody good, man, or nobody that's a damn threat to him. He want to face guys that are hand-picked, huh? Like apples off the tree in the grove. He wants the ones that are low-hanging fruit. He want that, I can reach this one right here. Let me take it. That's him. He don't want the one that you kind of got to get on a ladder and step up there and get. That's the best ones. The ones that the squirrels and shit don't be fucking with too much, and the ground animals, huh? That's AJ, man. Pup. When Deontay walked past him and said, "Hey, man, let's get it," he was shivering. nigga scared. Yeah, that's what he is. Man, why don't he just go in there and face the demons and shit? It's like he don't want to get in there with Wilder to save his life, man. It's crazy, bro. Because you know what? When he lost to salute to Freedom's March. What's good with you, brother? Good morning. When he lost to Andy Ruiz, do y'all remember what the nigga said? Huh? I remember. Somebody in the chat, I know Stephen L is out there, Del Riv. What did AJ say when he lost to Andy Ruiz? All that time running from, destiny and fate. Your parents used to say you can't run from an ass whooping, huh? It's like, you can't, man. It's like when it's meant for you, it was meant for you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, that strap, that belt got your name written on it. And it's got DNA from your ass. That's right there, Rim. He said, I wish it was Wilder. This motherfucker. What the hell is that, man? What is that? You wish it was the dude that you've been running from? It don't make no sense, bro. It don't make any sense whatsoever, right? I wish it was Wilder. Man, what kind of, I thought I saw a putty tap was that? What is that, man? I wish it was Wilder. It could have been Wilder, fool. They had made you an offer. You was coming to the U.S. for your first fight in the U.S. It could have been against Wilder. And win, lose, or draw, you could have had it set up with a return match where y'all fight in the UK. It was like one of the best damn deals that money could buy. And here you is, oh, I'm going to take on, first it was supposed to be Big Baby Miller. You know that, right? And Big Baby Miller popped for having a pharmacy in his bloodstream. This motherfucker said, y'all remember the Fat Boys and that song? The dude was singing on there. He was like, give me some and some. That was Big Baby Miller with his drugs. He was like, I'm gonna take me some and yeah, he has so much in his system, man. They said, man, if you don't get your ass out of boxing, we'll see you in 3 years, nigga. Yeah. Big Baby Miller, man, he wasn't fucking around. He was like, man, I'm gonna take so much shit, man. So AJ, they look for a replacement opponent, right? And I don't know if you guys remember when he and Big Baby Miller, because they had the press conference and everything, and Big Baby Miller shoved AJ on the stage, right? He shoved him so hard, it looked like the Ancient One in Doctor Strange when she knocked Stephen Strange's spirit into the astral realm out of his body, and it was like you saw him leave his body. Big Baby Miller shoved AJ so hard. His physical self went back a couple of feet, but his spiritual self went all the way across the stage. Man, you can't make this shit up. So Big Baby, I guess that was a PED shove. He shoved him across into the astral realm. So when he popped dirty, they was like, shit, and her was like, you were trying to fuck up my fighter. You know, he got him out of there and say they looked for someone as a replacement. And that's when they got Salute to the general out there, 78. What's good with you, General? You remember that shit, General? That dude, he shoved AJ so hard. Big Baby Miller, I'm talking about when they had that press conference. It was like he shoved his ass into the astral realm, like in Doctor Strange. The ancient one and shit. Oh, man. Anyway, so he gonna pick Andy Ruiz. Oh, the fat guy. He's a, he's a fighter that used to be with Top Rank and everything. We gotta pick him. What did they do that for? Man, Andy Ruiz was like, oh my Tecate. And my pizza. And my cheeseburger. And my Snickers. That motherfucker came to the ring with a bag of snacks. But see, AJ, you could tell that Ed Hearn hadn't done no research. And I know we were talking about the boxing, this weekend of boxing, but I got to get this out, man. Listen, they thought they was going to pull a guilt one because Jarrell Big Baby Miller, that was the bigger, stiffer test at that time that they thought, right? But he popped. So Andy Ruiz was in there, but what they hadn't realized is that when Ruiz had fought Joseph Parker in Australia, that was such a close fight that Parker got the decision and won that WBO title, but it should have gone at that time to Andy Ruiz, because Andy Ruiz can box, man. And let me tell you a side note, if some of you don't know this, because I know some people are kind of new on the scene. Evander Holyfield was fighting into his 40s, and he was training and sparring a lot of the younger fighters and everything. But he said out of his own mouth, after sparring Andy Ruiz, he said he knew it was time to get out of the sport of boxing because he couldn't keep up with Andy Ruiz's hand speed and the pressure that Andy Ruiz was putting on him in the gym. He said, man, I turn around, this dude is all on top of me. And that's Holyfield, the real deal. You understand? But of course, he was in his 40s. But he said that Ruiz was like putting them beams on him, man. He said, that's when I knew it was time to get out the sport. So if Evander Holyfield can sit up and say that about Ruiz, what you need to know is that Ruiz, when he's fighting, he's dangerous. Well, the AJ camp and Matchroom, they didn't think so. So they got in there with him, and the rest was Mexican history. AJ made him the first Mexican-American heavyweight champion in history. Yeah, he did it, thanks to AJ. And, so he sees Wilder walking past him, and Wilder say, let's get it. And he just looking at Wilder like, I'm sorry, you say something? Chicken pup ass motherfucker, scared, man. Get this guy out of here, man. Anyway, back on topic. So it was a full-fledged weekend. And so today we had, not today, yesterday, Sunday, Easter Sunday. By the way, I hope that anyone who celebrates the Easter holiday or whatever, that it was everything that you hoped that it would be for you and your family, because I know some people, they have their personal, beliefs and all of that stuff. And I'm not trying to step on anybody and what they carry with them. But yeah. So we had the MVPW1 card, headlined by Caroline Dubois and Terry Harper. Caroline Dubois is a young fighter that, first of all, she's the best fighter in the Dubois family. Let's just say that and acknowledge it, okay? It is what it is. Daniel, whatever. Daniel special ed, y'all. And I'm not saying that for fun. It's true. That dude is like, he's a big buck, and that's about it. You know what I mean? But anyway, Caroline, good fighter. And she really looks up to Clarissa Shields, believe it or not, as a fighter. I don't know if she endorses much of what Clarissa's doing outside the ring right now, but as far as respecting Clarissa's accomplishments in the ring and everything and what she's done as far as her career as a champion and elite fighter, Caroline has really thrown herself behind Clarissa. And Clarissa was there to show support for her, which was pretty cool, you know. And Caroline was victorious in her fight with Terry Harper. Harper had a good game plan. She wasn't going to engage with Caroline too much from the physical standpoint. She seemed to want to box from the outside, not want to mix it up in exchanges too much. And it went well for her until I think there was a clash of heads that opened up a cut in Terry Harper's over her left eye, and that seemingly took her out of the fight for a few rounds. But the last 2 rounds, Harper stepped it up and made it more competitive, but it still ended up being a UD victory for Caroline, who is now on the hunt for, because she's a unified champion now, she's now on the hunt for Alicia Baumgardner. And Baumgardner is really sonning Caroline, or is it daughtering her? Because it's women. I don't know. It's whatever, man. Play on words. But apparently, Alicia is being very dismissive. But if you listen to the post-fight interviews where Caroline was talking, she's talking like Alicia's moving kind of like the AJ of women's boxing. She's saying that Alicia wants the easier fights and doesn't want to face those real challenges like someone like herself, but she wants to profess to being a a fighter that's more than actually what she's doing in the ring. Now, Caroline has that enthusiasm of a young lion or lioness, right? But I'm not sure if Alicia recognizes the position of the fighters, because Alicia has a little dirt on her now with that, alleged popping dirty situation and all of that. But she also, I'm looking at construction guys, they got the streets blocked off up here, man. Just be messing around. I hate construction guys when they in my way on my... Okay, fam, I hope we still here, because I went through a zone and it dropped for a second. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you're still there. If you can still hear me, put a 1 in the chat, please. If you can hear me, I'll wait and try to see. I know Stephen L., we had this situation before. Okay, I'm still here. Okay, good. I went through a zone. That was right where those construction guys were. Maybe they had turned some power off in that area or something. So it was a slight glitch. Okay, but we're still good. Thank you, family. Thank you. Alicia's made a few changes with training and all of that, but she hasn't faced top echelon fighters either, and she has a name. So if Alicia says, I want to fight so-and-so, let me send them a contract or whatever, it could go down. Remember, she walked away from a rematch with Michaela Mayer at a time when the two of them, their rivalry was so hot and fierce, it was on the level of like Ali Frazier, and they could have made so much money together. For them at that time, which was what, 4 years ago, if not 5, they could have made so much money between them that they have been really sitting pretty right now. Not that they're not, but you have to strike when the iron is hot. That's like when AJ blew his opportunity with Deontay Wilder, because there was a time when that fight was so hot, and there was a time when AJ was considered, maybe even a favor against Deontay at a certain point, and he didn't go through with the fight. So he missed that window, and you can never get that back. You can never get that back. Both guys have losses now and all of that, but when it was like two undefeated young fighters, because Wilder wasn't even 35 at that time when he could have fought AJ. I think Wilder might have been 32 or 33 when it was first suggested that they may, mix it up. But yeah, this is what it is. So Baumgardner, she's walked away. Now, check it out. She's fighting on MVPW2 this coming Friday. That's a fast turnaround for MVP. They've got their second card this coming Friday. And Baumgardner is taking on a fighter that Caroline Dubois faced, a little over a year ago, maybe a year ago. That Bomi Rishin, that Korean lady, who really gave Caroline a good fight. And Caroline ended up winning a majority decision in that fight, but spoke sincerely about the fact that she needed to, she needed to go back to the gym and work on inside fighting. She said that Bomi presented a stronger test and task than she was prepared for. She thought she was going to end up a certain kind of way, and that fight went a different way for her. And that was pretty good stuff that Caroline could admit to that. So, and I remember covering that fight. So that's who Alicia has. And also at the press conference, she mentioned that Alicia don't want to fight nobody. She said she wants to fight easy fights and make all this money. She's like, but this is not what's going to happen. She said, these are young, hungry fighters out here. And if it don't be me, it's going to be somebody else that gets Alicia out of there, meaning off that perch. But see, to a certain extent, Jake Paul and MVPW, they're going to try to feature and market Alicia, for her looks and all of that kind of stuff. But they're going to recognize that Baumgardner, she talks a good game. You know what I mean? She speaks, and I won't even say she talks a good game. When she talks, people are just listening to her because they looking at her. You know what I mean? But I've heard her say some real stupid shit. And that's just being straight up sincere. And Caroline is a hungry lioness. She wants those belts, and she's highly motivated. And I believe that given the chance, she'll fight anyone because she's all about that smoke right now in her career. Now, maybe after she achieved some things and, got to a certain place, she might kind of start being more like Alicia. Who knows? Because some of fighters, they do that. Remember Keith Thurman? I got an O and I ain't afraid to let it go. And next thing you know, it's like, who has he fought? Let him get a belt. You know what I mean? He's a little young and green right now. And all of that stuff he was saying about fighters that were his contemporaries once he got to a certain position. Huh? So fighters do change their tune. But some of them just remain hungry, like a Devin Haney or whatever. They just want the challenges, man. Because the money, especially when you know that you've put yourself and your family in a position that you're good. As Muhammad Ali once said, you have to find ways to motivate yourself. You have to find goals and set circumstances that this is why I fight. You know what I'm saying? when Ali started to believe that he was championing a cause for the people, that's what kept him in the ring. You know, if it was about money and everything, you know, you could go sit down somewhere once your bank account is at a certain max, you know. So we'll find out what that is. But if you go back and listen to that post-fight press conference with Caroline, she kind of basically told you what's up with Alicia Baumgartner. Now understand this, people, for those that say, oh, she just hating on her. No. When they all signed to MVPW, you know, they have a room, they have a board meeting, they have a, like, what the fights that we want to make for the future and stuff like that. And you got these women, they're like, yeah, let's get it on. Let's go. But you got a few of them. It ain't all of them, but it's a few here and there, just like it is in the men's division of boxing. They want to know, well, how much you going to pay me and how much is it? It's like, man, not realizing and understanding that the stock goes up when you get in there against the best. Even if you happen to take a L, you can still, the stock can be raised because people value the fact that you are a fighting spirit, a warrior. You know what I mean? So that has something to be considered. But when you want to make all of these provisions and kind of speak on the fact that, you know, that person is not on my level or whatever, how do we know that? Being on your level, we find out every day that the levels really are blurred when quality gets in against quality. Because if anybody watched the Zuffa cards last night, there were 3 upsets on that card last night. Between the prelims and the main event, there were 3 upsets on that card that people just didn't think were going to happen and go down the way that it did. And I'm very appreciative of the fact that these fighters, they do what they do, but there are others who are kind of like, you know, they want to be safe and secure. So, but hey, man. And like I said, in that Zuffa card last night, that was Zuffa 5, y'all. They 5 cards in, and they have put on nothing but good boxing. Good boxing. A lot of guys that I'm unfamiliar with because, you know, these are guys that are getting their first opportunity to really be in the limelight and be on television and things of that nature, but still quality work because they're fighting with purpose. They're fighting with, you know, it's like, I want to prove myself. Great stuff. You know? And you got to respect that. Coming from these young fighters of today, you got to respect it, man. So, what a weekend, huh? All this boxing, man. It's like, if I wanted, because I'm going to have to profile the MVP W2 coming up this Friday, but if I wanted, I could spend the rest of the week with my content focusing on everything that transpired this weekend, because it's to that extent of a fullness of what was accessible. And like I said, I didn't cover Tim Tszyu. He'll be the subject of my premiere tomorrow morning. But even he over in Australia, because he's now going to be campaigning at middleweight, and they're looking, according to what PBC has indicated, and his promoters over there from the Australia side, they're looking to face Errol Spence next. So if that goes down, some of you would be happy to see Errol return to the ring. And since he doesn't take tune-ups, a fight with someone like Tim, who has definitely been more active than he, is a good fight. Very good fight. You know? And if that's what's going to happen, you know, we can talk about it. I ain't going to talk about it till everything is signed and everything. No speculations right now, but hey, boxing is thriving and surviving, people. It's thriving and surviving. And I'm loving it. So, what do you guys think, man? I mean, did you have a great weekend of boxing? I mean, again, I know it was Easter weekend, so some people had certain obligations and everything, and you know, but for me, man, I couldn't ask for more. I was like, shoot. I was in boxing heaven on that, really. Jonathan Simon, salute to you, bro. 78 said, I love this weekend, man. 78, do you remember a weekend of boxing like that? I mean, from Friday through Sunday night. I mean, we've had boxing cards on Sundays, but this Sunday we had two, and they didn't overlap. By the time the women wrapped up over there in the UK, man, and 45 minutes later, the Zuffa card started, the prelims. And I watched the prelims and the main card, because we had three fights on the main card, and I think 4 fights on the prelims. So we were cooking, man, with hot grease. It was amazing. So we had fights Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday evening. We had fights Sunday early afternoon and Sunday evening. Man, that was busy, bro. That was busy. So, yeah. You guys, and you know, what do I always say? Watch boxing. Watch boxing. That don't mean just watch your guy or your lady or whatever that you tune into. Just watch the sport, because when you see different scenarios take place, when you see different circumstances where fighters have to pull themselves through and everything, like I said, that Ellie Scottney fight against Mayeli Flores, Scottney, when that fight was over, she started crying, because that lady took her to task, and she was well trained and conditioned. Shane McGuigan had got her prepared to go through what she went through. And she kind of indicated that when the fight was over. She was like, that woman tested me. And she's so proud and happy that she was able to go through it. Imagine if she was cutting corners. Imagine if she was just looking at her lightly, because she's a little small woman at 4'11". You know, we're talking about super bantamweights here. And imagine if she kind of like took her like Sky Nicholson took Tierra Brown. You know what I'm saying? Sky Nicholson lost that championship because she was floating on clouds and she wasn't putting in the type of work. And Tierra had told her, I'm going to make you fight a fight that you ain't never fought before. Everybody lets you fight your way. I'm not letting you fight your way. And sure enough, Tierra Brown took that fight to Sky, and in Australia took her belt from her. In Australia. You understand how hard that is? Because think about it. I just talked a little while ago about Andy Ruiz fighting Joseph Parker in Australia for the WBO title a few years back. And though it ended up being a close decision, they gave it to Parker. When I thought if it had been on neutral ground, definitely Ruiz would have got the nod. So just imagine that Tierra stepped up and bested Sky Nicholson in her backyard. That's why I've done a couple of videos on Tierra for what her accomplishments. Now I'm gonna tell you something. Alicia Baumgardner offered Tierra Brown a fight before this Bomi Rishin, and Tierra didn't take that fight. She just recently signed to MVP herself. So what that's telling me is Tierra Brown is kind of still testing the waters. You know what I mean? She's not necessarily ready to give that title up to a person like Baumgartner yet, unless she has settled into that's where her level is. I can totally understand and respect that. But Baumgartner, you got Caroline breathing down your neck. You ran away from Michaela Mayer, and you run away from a couple of other fighters out there that now MVP has everybody under one roof. It's time to do the business or come on out of that bathroom. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. Del Real says, it was like all-star weekend for me. Adrian Viet, what's good with you? Salute. Salute to you, man. But yeah, guys, I just wanted to come on and talk about that weekend of boxing, man. It was so cool. I really enjoyed that. We got Nerds on Culture tonight. Drew Titan and I will be on. I got that premiere coming up at 8 a.m. Central Time. Please check that out. Talking about Scottney and Flores, their fight, and how it is potentially the women's fight of the year thus far. What a battle. 78, if you're still out there in the chat, bro, check out that premiere. And if you get a chance, go back and watch the fight yourself, because it was the co-main event for Caroline and Terry Harper, right? But dude, it could have been the main event. That little Mayeli Flores from Mexico, and I talked about it in my video because I don't want to say too much because I want you guys to watch the video, but she gave the best Mike Tyson impersonation. Not that she was impersonating Mike Tyson, but her style was so much like Custom Model's peekaboo defense, offense, the way to throw the punches, that she took that fight to Ellie Scottney, and Scottney had to figure it out. She had to, because she was all over Scottney, and the only thing that was missing was like Tyson's one punch type power to knock you out, because if she had that, then Scottney wouldn't have made it to the final bell. But it was still a tremendous battle between two women for undisputed. And so Scottney is now the youngest four-belt era undisputed champion in that weight division, I believe, the super bantamweights, which was very, very appealing, that fight. So, but yeah, you guys, I'm gonna get ready to get on out of here. I've arrived to my destination, and I appreciate each and every one of you that came in and commented and hit my like up, my thumbs up button and everything. Hope you have a wonderful Monday, and let's get it. We live and on the move. Shout out to the brother Junior the Truth, and salute to the mighty LDBC. We out of here. Everybody have a blessed day. Peace.